Hello and welcome to She TV, the place women come to become powerfully feminine from the inside out. And today we are on day number 14 of the Femathon. 14. Wow, that's just lots of femathoning. So come on in, grab yourself tea. I'm just actually in the middle of steeping myself some tea here. So it's been a busy day, busy morning. So come on in, say hello, and let me know that you are there and wanting to engage you on this important topic today. Juicy topic, which is about how getting into your feminine energy awakens your sexuality. And the result of that is you feel more juicy, you become more juicy in so many ways. So come in. Say hello. Who have we got there already? Rochelle, fantastic. Okay, it should have come through, but let's see what's going on there. Yep, the notification's gone out, so sometimes it takes a little bit of time for those things to land in people's inboxes. So grab yourself some tea. We'll just wait another minute or so for some people to arrive. And then we're going to dive into today's topic. Yeah. Rebecca, fantastic. You can hear me and see me well. That is good news because I am in a whole plight to get my live streaming better. So I'm really happy to hear that. Wonderful. So thanks for coming on live, or if you're listening to this on a replay, then welcome. Just take these first few minutes. We always take it to grab our tea. You know, because I am such a tea nerd. So, yes, I need my glasses to say hello. Hello, Fazila. Hello, Paulina. Fantastic. Well, let's dive in, my dears. So, if you are brand new here and you've caught this live stream, you've jumped into the middle of a 15-day Femathon. That is a series of 15 live streams and videos and masterclasses that I'm conducting here on YouTube. So if you want to go back, you can actually look on my videos page or my playlist. There's a whole playlist called the Femathon. So during the Femathon, I'll be discussing many of the myths, mistakes, and misconceptions that I've seen so many women come to me with around feminine power and feminine energy, what they are, what they mean, and how they feel basically inside you. So basically we're here to answer the question, how the heck did we get here as women, and what do we need to do to fully embrace our feminine selves again? Okay. You are also being invited into a unique masterclass event next Monday. I'm conducting it again next Monday, 3 different times during the day. So when you jump on that and enroll, you're going to have 3 different times. So you should be able to find a time that you can make. I'm going to pop this here in the stream for those who have not attended that yet. And I'll also be putting it in the description box below. Okay, so you can find the link to the live recorded masterclass below. Okay. Fantastic. So reserve your seat for that now. The reason is that you're not just going to be getting normal notifications. You're going to get daily emails from me that give you extra little snippets about your feminine power and your energy, where you're at. You're going to understand a lot more so that going into the masterclass, you're going to feel a lot more prepared for, you know, this longer masterclass. The masterclass is about an hour, 20 minutes. Okay. Good. Let me take a sip whilst I'm just checking in on you, on who's here live. Laura, fantastic. Milika, Billy, Megan again, fantastic Megan, wonderful. All right, so I'm kind of fueled by tea, as you may have noticed these days. Without it, I don't know. Milika, hello Candice, hello ladies, fantastic. Exciting topic, absolutely. Important topic. Trisha, fantastic. I love having you here live. And I'm so happy that the stream is working better. And we'll do more of these. It's really fun to engage you live. So fantastic. Let's dive into our topic. So our topic is about how getting into your feminine energy awakens your sexuality and makes you more juicy and feel more alive and powerful. Now that's a mouthful, right? So it's a little bit of a chicken or egg conversation here today because, well, let me go back a little bit. One of the big things that I notice and I'm aware of, that if a woman tells me that she doesn't feel sexual, or she has no or low libido, that is huge, big, red, whipping lights, warning signs to me that she's out of her feminine energy. She's become unplugged into her power source, right? And that is a pathway to burnout. I can promise you she's going to head to burnout if she continues in that direction, right? So what am I talking about here? What does this mean? What am I saying? What are you getting unplugged from, right? So one of the things I think you need to understand in this conversation today, and I could say, hey, we're talking about sex, isn't that fun and juicy? But we may be talking about the act of sex sometimes, but it's really about your sexuality that is a innate part of your feminine power and your experience in your body as a woman. And I may be reframing some things for some of you here today, in that I think there's just become this whole misdirection, and talk about a misconception here, that sex or sexuality is masculine. And it's not. It couldn't be more contrary. It couldn't be more the opposite. Sexuality is the whole realm of the feminine. The sexual space, if you're having sex, is the feminine, dominant, right? The sexual experience is much, much bigger and much, much broader for a woman than it is for a man. The sexual experience has a much broader spectrum of depth, and I'm going in that direction too, as much as that direction. It's a much deeper, more nuanced, more changeable, more unique, more powerful experience for a woman than it is for a man. Yeah. So when we start to just have this concept, it's like, wow, you're reframing something here, that I thought that I was going into my masculine in order to have sex. Like, no, 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 no. This space is the feminine. And if you can just let yourself just breathe with that, just feel into that just a little bit right now. Just wonder at it. If it's news to you, if it's new to you, please just let yourself wonder at, well, what is that? What does that mean then? How would I approach sexual interaction? How would I approach sexuality? How would I feel about my own sexuality if that was so? Yeah. But essentially here I'm talking about your sexuality as this power inside of you, not so much the sexual act or a sexual interaction with somebody else. Now, what I'm meaning by that is when we start to embody and sink down into our body, our belly, our pussy, our vagina, and get into this relationship to our throne, as I call, okay, this is the Queen's throne. This is the seat of our throne as a woman, is that. And this is why, I develop things such as the pussy power practices. I talk about pussy brain. I use the word pussy a lot. And by the way, if you're hearing that for the first time from me, we use pussy in a super empowered, loving, adoring way in the Powerfully Feminine work. We speak about it. I love the word pussy. It's both kind of cheeky and sassy, but it's also powerful, right? So when we say that, we mean it like that. So people can use words in derisive ways. Men can use the word derisively. We can use it as a slander for somebody. But what if you stop doing that? What if you turn toward that concept as, well, hang on, I have a pussy. That's not weak. That's awesome. Like, what is that? What does it feel like for me to get into relationship to both the physical and the energetic side of that? Now, when we speak of sexuality, and there's numerous references throughout all spiritual traditions around sexuality, Kundalini, Tantra, Taoism, where sexuality is an essential part of a spiritual practice. It is not different from, it's not separate from. And those traditions are aware that sexuality is a fundamental part of our human energy system. Yep. It's nurtured, it's worked with, it's understood, it's awakened inside of you, not avoided. not separated from. Yep. So I understand that for many women that they have ended up in a disempowered relationship to their body, their sexuality and their sexual energy for lots of reasons. There could be sexual trauma. There could have been just really negative messages that came from the world around them, or women, or their mothers, right? Or the women in their lineage, right? But also as women, we have centuries of our power being burnt, buried, and destroyed. And you know what I mean. So what's happened is unconsciously, you may fear your sexuality. You may fear its power. You may fear that if you turn back toward that you might attract the wrong attention, that you may once again be burnt, buried, or destroyed. Yep. So this is why in, Femathon Day 12, I talked a lot about sisterhood, because it's really important that we as women can talk about these things in a really empowered way, in an encouraging way, in a loving way, so that we understand that as we're starting to embody and own and turn back toward these things inside of ourselves, that we can share that with each other in a way that feels safe. Now, I'm here on YouTube. I'm the one speaking right now, so it's fine. And you might be writing some things that you feel comfortable with. But obviously, we go a lot deeper in the Powerfully Feminine Sisterhood, which is my private Facebook community that supports the program, the Powerfully Feminine Intensive. That's where it's private, it's secure, and people can feel free to say a lot more vulnerable, intimate, and intense things. So I understand if you need to hold things back today, even in question asking. So, okay, so why has this happened in another way? The cutting off from our energy source, what I was speaking about, plugging in, okay? So as a woman, what we seek to do when we awaken our feminine power and energy is we want to seat down into our throne, okay, which means a descent of a feeling of a sensual, feeling-based relationship to our sexuality and our pussy and our power. And what that affords is a plugging in to our feminine power, which will feel like sexual energy at times. And yes, they're the same thing. If you're asking that, they are the same thing, right? And so when we plug in like that, something wakes up or turns on or comes alive inside you, turns on, right? So we plug in, something turns on, and then in that turning on, it's like turning on a faucet, right? And then what happens is you start to get filled up. You start to get filled up with energy, with enthusiasm. You plug into your creativity. You feel more awake, more alive, and more powerful. That's why I speak about it as feminine power, because it's an energy, but it's power. It feels powerful. And then we feel filled up. And what I speak of in the training is we become full to overflowing. And this is important because for so many of you, and I know this is true, you end up doing a lot of things for other people first before you do things for yourself. And this orientation can often be coming from an orientation of firstly obligation, or that you feel like you must do things, and it can actually deplete you, as in you're coming from an empty orientation. You're empty of power, you're empty of fullness, you're empty of this sexual, it's natural to feel sexual, right? And however, when you actually turn toward yourself and you know how to do this, to plug in, turn on and fill up like this, then when you want to give and serve, which I know so many of you do, this is why you're drawn to this work, then you're doing it from this sort of, universal, infinite font of energy that just keeps pouring out of you, right? And it's a very, very different orientation. I'm sure you can start to feel that as I'm speaking to that in you today. I'm speaking to this in you, this unlimited font of energy that I know is inside you, and I know you're curious about. I know you want to come back online, and I know you want to feel juicy again. And it might sound obvious also that when I have women, and I remember I had a client who was in her early 30s come to me and say, oh my gosh, my vagina's dry. And she was still menstruating and everything, but she was basically drying up because she was so in man mode. So this is the thing I want to pass next, which is one of the big things that cuts you off from this is this concept of being too much in man mode, too masculine, right? That is one of the biggest things that starts to unplug you from your power source and weakens your libido and your innate feminine sexuality. Yeah. Remember, I've been speaking in the Femathon about, everything about feminine power is about what's happening from the neck down. So what often happens man mode in the way I speak about it, it's when we're just, neck up oriented. Yeah. All right, so whilst you're just taking in, there's a lot I just passed there. So whilst you take that in, let me just see if you've got some great. I'm fueled by tea, says Megan. It took me 10 years to convert, but I'll never go back. Beautiful. Fantastic. Rebecca, love that you're taking the context back for that word pussy. Absolutely. Rebecca just enrolled in the Sisterhood. She said she can't wait to dive into the Sisterhood. I'm in, just waiting for your computer to arrive. Oh, okay. You can do it on your phone too, just so you know. It's all accessible on your phone or your iPad or etc. Rochelle says, yes, she just joined too. It's brilliant. Fantastic. Paulina says, I'm only feel sexual when I'm ovulating. Well, that's whilst you're not cultivating your feminine power, Paulina. That's something that you're just happening through your cycle. But what we want to happen is you start to actually take command of your power. You take command of your sexuality. You cultivate it. So when I speak of cultivation in this sense, this means firstly you need to understand that you don't just have to, well, I guess I'm not that sexual a person, right? If that conclusion were true, you would not have power to change that thing. And that's not true. You absolutely can turn your sexuality dial up, okay? Because I can promise you, you probably feel more sexual when you feel more energetic, when you feel stronger, when you feel healthier and all these things that a training in the feminine arts actually does for you. And I can promise you that when you do this thing, and you can see my hands doing this thing where we go down, right? When you start to plug down back into your feminine power in this way and start to get this loving and empowered relationship to your body, to your breasts, to your belly, to your shape, to the way you move, the way you speak, all these things, and of course to your pussy and your sexuality, then you start to command that. You start to own it. You start to realize, oh, that's mine. I can actually make it stronger. I can bring it forward. I can realize, and this is important, by the way, if you're in your 30s and you're hearing this now, then do it now, ladies. But also if you're in your 50s, like me, I don't know if you know that, but I'm in my 50s. I have cultivated my energy like this for 20 years. Some people always go, they can't quite work out why I'm the age I am, but it's because I've cultivated the things that I teach you. Okay, and I can promise you there's zero plastic surgery in my universe, but that's something I haven't spoken about yet. I do not encourage it. All right, so, excuse me. That was not me, that was a motorbike outside the door. All right, so what was the other thing I wanted to pass there? There was an important piece. Okay, the piece on aging. So what often happens when women start aging, and that can happen as early as that client I was speaking about in her 30s that suddenly was drying out, or it can be when you hit your 40s or your 50s or your 60s, and somewhere inside some trigger, something starts to agree with the fact that you're aging. You start to agree with the fact that, well, I guess now that I'm in menopause or perimenopausal, then I am not juicy anymore, that I'm drying up, that I can't have sex anymore, or I'm not interested. You just start turning it off and focusing on other things. I'm telling you, nothing could be further from the truth. Did you actually know that the clitoris increases ever so slightly, but because it's tiny, it increases in size as we age. It already has 8,000 nerve endings on it, by the way. The human clitoris, meaning that of the human race and species, is the only organ in the whole body that has 8,000 nerve endings. Even the tip of a man's penis has only, comparatively, 4,000. Half as many senses. And these are physical senses, right? And remember the clitoris, and I do a lot more about this when we talk about power, etc. But the clitoris head is just the head of the clitoris. The whole clitoris is this whole structure that wraps around the vulva and goes deep inside your body and your energy. It's absolutely phenomenal, the human clitoris. Phenomenal organ, right? But we're not going deeply into that today. But we are talking about sexuality. So we're talking about aspects of the feminine sexuality. Revity, hello, wonderful to have you here. Megan says, I love how you're challenging me to get out of my comfort zone. Fantastic. Yes. But, comfort zone, I'm pretty sure you don't want to be in a comfort zone for the rest of your life, Is it really comfortable, or is it just avoiding who you really are and what's really there for you? Yeah. Revity asks, when you fill up with that sexual energy, which can feel as a turn on sexually and feeling it all the time, to give yourself orgasm and not transmute it into my art business. Oh, that's a confusing sentence. Okay, I think what you're asking, Revity, is when you start to plug into your sexuality and it turns on, right? And it becomes quite alive and powerful inside of you. How do you feel? How do you deal with that? How do you deal with an intense, strong, vibrant sexuality through your life when you're not just having sex all the time? Tell me if that's the right thing that you're asking. Okay. So look, the thing is, who wants to go through life feeling dead, right? Because I can promise you, if you're not feeling that sort of aliveness and buzzing of this sort of background feminine juicy sexuality, then you're dead. I'm sorry, but you are slowly dying inside. And if you're not slowly dying, then you may be getting sick, because if you're also not engaging these parts of your energy, it's you're setting yourself up to not be well moving forward. Okay. Now, there's a spectrum of sexuality, from just when you're feeling a little bit turned on, right, to whoa, I'm right on the edge of orgasm, right? So if you're there, then pleasure yourself. If you don't have a partner, do something, engage that power. Or you don't have to do that either. You can go, okay, this is a force inside me. This is something I can do. What does it want? What does this energy want in me right now? What can I do with that? And yes, it can be creativity, but it could be all sorts of other things. It could be working with your body. It could be dancing. It could be moving. This is a good thing. Let's not cut it off. We've already been cutting it off. Let's go, okay, there's a new feeling in my body, in my energy. What can I do with that? How can I feel into that and own it more, and not feel like I have to shut it down because I can't have sex right now? Fantastic. Revity says, yes, exactly. Thank you. Fazila says, I feel sexy today. I feel like dancing. There you go, Fazila. Exactly. Do a sexy dance break. Absolutely fantastic. Revity said, this is so incredibly healing. So happy, so happy. Wonderful. More questions on the topic about sexuality today, about how sexuality awakens your feminine power. And as I said, it's kind of the other way around too. It's the chicken and the egg, because getting into your feminine power is the thing that awakens your sexuality. They are indivisible. You can't do one without the other. So if you're not feeling sexy, if you're not feeling having a good relationship to these feelings that are sexy and sexual, then we've got a problem. Okay. This is what you're wanting to have. You're wanting to have this really empowered relationship to these things, to get into a relationship to your sexuality that is powerful and strong. Yes, I can be very direct, Rebecca. I'm a lot more direct with my private clients usually. She says, who wants to go through life feeling dead? My God, the accuracy. Absolutely. Rochelle, do you have any books on teachings? They're in the program, sweetheart. There's some books I recommend around that. So the Tao of Sexuality. I tend to like to go to the source of things. So the Tao of Sexuality, you can actually find it as a free online document, right? Tao, meaning T-A-O. Let me write that down here. If you want to find out about cultivating sexuality, look up this, Tao of Sexuality. I put it in the stream there, okay? Anybody can get that one. It's a great read. I love reading source documents. and why things are the way they are, why we do things the way we do. And Revity says, oh, time to heal this. Thank you very much. Yeah, heal and love and cry about. And so we do jade egg work in the Powerfully Feminine Intensive Training, right? Obviously, I can't teach that online here. We're putting a jade egg inside our pussy. But it's also that a lot can happen when women start to do jade egg work. It can be, it can stir up trauma. It can... women have all sorts of trauma. They even have trauma from childbirth. They can have prolapsed vaginas. There's so many pieces that can happen there that when you start to do that, I want to be there to be able to make sure I'm coaching you through it. Okay, so obviously I don't want to throw those things at you and then you're out there on your own not knowing what to do. Fazila shares, I've been getting wet a lot for these past few weeks and I'm enjoying it. Does this mean I'm getting into my sexual energy and being full? Absolutely, Fazila. I'm so happy to hear that, my dear. And Fazila is also one of the Powerfully Feminine Intensive students. So that is really good news. I'm really happy to hear that, my dear. And that is a really good direction. This is exactly what's going to happen. It's one of the things. There's so many benefits of awakening our feminine power. There's so many benefits of bringing our life force back online, right? Sexuality, life force, energy. Think of those things together, okay? Sexuality, life force, energy. I'm going to write that down here. Sexuality. Oh, I can't type at the moment. Life force, energy. Now those three things come together. Oh, sorry, I meant to... Sexuality, life force, energy. I had 20/20 vision until I turned 40, and then I suddenly got my father's vision. Sexuality, life force, energy. Think of those things. Feel into those things. This is your feminine power. That is your feminine power right there, okay? Right there. And when you start to sit in that, when you start to feel down into your body, to love and own that, to realize that this is a good thing. It's not something to be embarrassed about or to hide or to suppress. God's sake, don't suppress it. That you are turning toward your feminine power. In my work, it's not the only work that teaches this, but in my work, I speak about feminine energy and power as coming from the inside out. And I say inside out because when you plug in, turn on and fill up like this, you start to shine that, right? You really become vibrant and you shine it into the world, right? And so in my work, feminine power and energy has nothing to do with hair and makeup and clothing. There's a million YouTube channels on those pieces. By all means, go and watch them. I call that the adornment of the feminine, okay? It's fun. It's so fun to be, girly and feminine like that, or womanly or sexy or sensual through makeup, hair, etc. But I just don't teach about it because there's plenty of others that can do that piece, right? The harder piece, the real piece, the thing that's going to change your life is the inner piece, turning inside. Okay, what is my feminine energy? What does my feminine soul feel like? What does it feel like to be her? To walk around in this body, to love this body, this feminine self that I am. Megan says, I hope I'm pronouncing it. In Australia we say Megan, but in American it's Megan. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, dear. My period this time was far less painful than it usually is. Is that a sign I'm getting more into my power? Sometimes. I usually have to take Advil. Oh, yeah. It absolutely can change the menstruation stuff for sure. Absolutely. Beautiful. She's been tuning into Super Sexy Sundays that I've been doing on YouTube during the shelter in place, and tuning into the Femathon. Fantastic. And you're experiencing, sisterhood when we're doing these live, especially Megan. So I hope you're enjoying that. I know that you said that you had a terrible sisterhood experience. I've had that before too. So I really feel you there. Lorian, really good one. I'm scared of my sexual energy. I'm a people pleaser, so it's hard to say no to men when I turn them on. I would rather not use it in public. How do I hone its power? No. Okay, a lot of misunderstanding. Hone its power is fine. But what I'm actually hearing you say is suppress your power. Laurie, and the thing is, the problem is if you're a people pleaser, okay, we need to dissect that sentence. People pleasing is coming from the maid, which is the false feminine. So what you believe is that you need to do whatever people want in order to make them happy, and that your boundaries doesn't make people happy. And I need to correct you there. Your boundaries are what stands you in the true feminine. Your boundaries are what allow you to be able to stand fully in your power and your sexuality and your energy, and people don't take advantage of it because you're very clear on your boundaries, or here on who you are, and you're clear on how to say no and how to not let someone step over those boundaries. Yep. So, Paul, it's a little bit simple. I'm sorry that period pain is related to a lot of things. A lot of things. It can be many, many things. I'm just speaking about one aspect, which is about when you start to get in relationship to your feminine power. I've noticed that jade egg practices really help women that have had big period pain. Period pain can have to do with a lot of toxicity in someone's body. So let's not overly simplify things. But thanks for saying that, because I didn't mean to say that feminine energy work is the only thing there either. I'm only answering questions that are on today's topic, which is about sexual energy. Katerina, pussy brain, we spoke about that yesterday anyway. So go back to yesterday's video if you want to talk a bit more about pussy brain and understanding that. Yeah, Milika, I don't know how that's on topic. Yeah. Okay, so what I want to finish up with here today, my loves, is a couple of things. We're talking about how plugging back into your sexuality is really, really important, okay? It's an aspect of the work, many aspects of the feminine arts, okay? Which is especially around all of it, really. The 5 core feminine arts, I spoke about them yesterday. The art of polarity, which is understanding masculine and feminine, and that there's true and false feminine. Okay, there's about power, which is, getting into your vagina, learning how to be an empowered relationship to your power. And we've spoken today quite a lot about power, the art of desire, the art of receptivity, and the art of pleasure. So sexuality covers that whole spectrum, right? And I promise you that when you learn the 5 core feminine arts, you apply them into your life, your relationships, your interactions, your creativity, and all of those things, I promise you that your sexuality is going to come online. It's going to come on board. You're going to discover that you're a sexual beast. You're a sexual being as a woman. This is a good thing. And when we awaken this juicy sexuality inside of us, I promise you that the lens through which you see your life is going to change. It's going to be really, really different. Now, I do have, as I said at the beginning, I put a link here too. I'm doing the masterclass again, the live recorded masterclass next Monday, 3 different time slots. Get yourself enrolled now, because you're going to get additional information emailed out to you on a daily basis between now and then that are going to support you, such that when you turn up to the masterclass, you're going to be better primed and better equipped to understand the topic matter. The webinar's about, overcoming overwhelm and burnout, because that's another thing that I notice that ends up happening for women when they've become out of their feminine power, when they've been in too much man mode, too much masculine. But I also talk about desire. I also talk about sisterhood. I talk about other things on there that I think are going to be really helpful for you moving forward. Okay? Okay, then I think we're going to finish up here today. I was really looking forward to this topic today, so I'm so happy that so many of you came on. It's important. It's important to have fun about sexuality, feel the joy of it, feel the embracing that you can feel me doing here now with around the topic of sexuality. And just remember one thing that I said here. I really want you to remember that sexuality is the realm of the feminine. And I notice that women that are really in their queen, really in their true feminine, have a very empowered relationship to their body, their sexuality, and that they're really playful too. You know, it's not like it suddenly becomes really serious. It's like, no, it's really playful. It's this incredible way to engage life, to engage your partner, of course, and it's a great thing to be able to communicate with each other as women. All right, so I want to send so much love from my heart to yours. I'm so happy to have had you here live, and if you're listening to this on the recording, please put any ahas or comments below in the comments box. And I do answer every single question or every single comment on my channel, which is a big part of my contribution to my international community. So much love to you, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for the very last day of the Femathon live streams. As you said, see today, I'm here answering you live. I'll have another topic tomorrow to talk to you about, and otherwise I'll see you in the masterclass next Monday. So much love from my heart to yours, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Bye for now.